All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that awesome run. That was a beautiful Luigi's Mansion run. Luigi's Mansion is always one of those just beautiful, beautiful games. I absolutely love watching it. By the way, if you guys notice, we are at $1,502. Right after Quo's $7.99, we did have $1.01 from myself, throwing in $1.01 because I hate odd numbers to answer Quo's question. I'm doing it. And then mere seconds afterwards, we had CJ It's All Good with another $1.01. You people won't be happy until I'm dead. Have that damn penny. All right, that'll also be the last you'll hear from me this weekend here at SDAT 2021, benefiting Save the Children. But don't fret, we're heading it straight off the CC Neverender for the next couple of runs. You'll also hear me next weekend doing more hosting, and also I've got my own run then. So feel free to stop by then. But until then, take it away, CC.
But of course, Clock District ready to see you next weekend. But thank you so much for your help today. All right, so it's just you and me. Hi, chat. How are you? Are you ready? Today's been a long day. I gotta tell you, today has been, I say that in the best way possible. You know what I mean? Like, we've had a whole bunch of extra bonus stuff. One we didn't even know we wanted. You know, my favorite thing today was Paul Pearstrike was just like, hey, you know what? If you guys hit 1,000, I guess I'll do another run. And it's like, you didn't pass that with us. You didn't clear that with me. That's okay. I don't mind. In fact, I was excited. I threw 20 bucks in, of course. Of course I wanted to see some hot dogs. You know, it unfortunately did put us back a little bit on the schedule. So, thank you all. You know, if anyone's listening, shout out to all of the runners and the people on the schedule and people on the volunteers. You know, sorry that this pushed us back a little bit. And not to mention, we had the extra bonus run from Devil May Cry 4, right? That one also put us a little bit behind schedule, but that's okay. We got some great runs today. So up next, you guys wanted it. You guys paid for it. It's The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Defeat Ganon by Lake. Right? Our friend Lake, you saw him yesterday. He did an All Dungeons run, filling in for us. He's also going to be filling in with another run. Not filling in, but you know, he's also going to be showing off another run, Ocarina of Time Defeat Ganon. It's going to be great. You're going to enjoy it. The classic, right? Not quite any percent. It's the old any percent before any percent became any percent. So, anyways, got that coming up. Followed by Super Mario 64 70 Star by Collins VG. I want to remind everybody that you can you can pay for the extra bonus incentive. Collins VG will run an extra shorter category, a 0-star run in a Super Mario 64 ROM hack called Super Mario Sapphire, I believe. Check that out. But as CJ mentioned in chat, right, the poll is live for the rest of the event. When you donate money, if you donate money, you can make your choice go to the next video. Obviously, we plan ahead with our videos. The video that is going to come out, the one that's available now, the Shadow of the Colossus video, already teases what our next video is going to be. I'll let you. I'm not going to tell you just yet. If you know, you know. But if you don't know, you know, you got to wait. However, the one after that is up in the air, and it is up to you. All right. We have a couple options here. Pull it up. The options are Jack and Daxter 2, or Jack 2, I guess is technically the name of it. Donkey Kong Country 3, Final Fantasy 9, or Banjo-Kazooie any percent. Now, I'll have you know, we've talked about Jack 2 a little bit, internally at least. Jack 2's on our radar. DKC 3, it's the trilogy. I mean, how could we not? How could we not? Squeaks, I can confirm Collins and Bardonis are going to be making an appearance after this next run. I shouldn't delay too much longer, but I want to get this out here. We got Jack 2, Donkey Kong Country 3, the trilogy, right? We've done DKC 1. We've done DKC 2. DKC 3 is on the docket. You can make it happen. Final Fantasy 9. FF9 was a video that we talked about doing in the last bid war for SDAT. It did not win. It was second place. There were some complications. We couldn't do it at the time, but we can do it now. It is up on the docket one more time for those who want to vote for it. And last but not least, Banjo-Kazooie any percent. If you would like to see the history of Banjo-Kazooie for the 8% category, they've been having a lot of developments in the most recent years, the more recent years, I should say. Check that out. We'll make a video on it, and you can watch it. But anyways, I've delayed too long. It is time that we watch some Ocarina of Time defeat Ganon. Stay tuned. We're going to do a little transition here, and then it is time for speedruns. All right, everyone, welcome back. I teased it. I let you know. You're in for a treat. It's Ocarina of Time. It's Lake. It's Defeat Ganon. Lake, how's it going?
Going pretty well. Remember from yesterday?
Yes.
I'm back. Doing what I did not do yesterday, which we did not defeat Ganon yesterday. This time we will. So it should be a good time. It takes significantly less time to defeat him than it does to not. I guess.
Surprisingly.
But yeah, we all kind of good to go? Is there a file name for this?
There is no file name incentive for this one. The incentive was just to get you to play. So,
Nice.
I guess whatever you'd like to be.
Cool. I will go with my usual character of choice then.
All right.
Alright, so yeah.
I think we're joined today by a few people.
Oh yeah, so I have some cool commentators with me. I have Thunder OOT and Trip AU.
Hello everyone, hope everyone's safe and well.
Guys, hello.
They're both runners of this category, and they will help explain tricks while I mostly just try to focus, because this is a hard run. So, I think we're all ready to go. We can go ahead and get the show on the road. So we do have a 3-minute intro cutscene to get through. There's plenty of talking we can do.
Give us a countdown.
Alright, so let's go ahead and start in 3, 2, 1, go. Alrighty, so yeah, this is Defeat Ganon. No SRM variant. I explained this yesterday if people were around for that one in all dungeons. There's quite a lot of categories in this game that are split into two sections of no SRM and no SRM. This is again a no SRM run. So like yesterday, I won't be explaining exactly what it is, but it's a very broken glitch that is broken enough to split categories into two. That's all you need to know, really. And we're not going to do it in this run. And like the title of the category suggests, this is Defeat Ganon, so the only objective of this run is to defeat Ganon as fast as possible, without using SRM. Everything else is on the table. So that being said, there's a lot of really broken things we're going to do in a short amount of time. So it's going to be a lot of fun. One thing you'll notice straight away about this game is that I'm playing in the Japanese version, and that is simply because the text is fastest. There's less characters to get through, so less characters means less time. That's basically what it boils down to.
Yeah, for Ocarina of Time, each character takes 1 frame to load, and there are just you need less characters overall to express the same message in Japanese compared to English. So I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but I think in just intro cutscene alone, it saves like 20 or 30 seconds.
Something
just
like
from
that.
language shift.
I remember
So it's quite substantial.
a certain English runner we have telling me
Oh, yeah.
that they have like 420 roll out of Link's House times instead of the usual like 253.
Yeah, the
Or, like
intro
440,
alone
I don't
is
know.
it's a significant incentive to run Japanese,
Yeah,
for sure.
saves a lot of time even in a short category like this that doesn't have like much text. Obviously, it saves like way more in something like Glitchless, which has a lot of cutscenes and a lot of text over 4 hours. So yeah, significant. One thing also to note is I'm playing on the Wii version, and that's because a glitch we're going to do in this category is required to be on 1.2 specifically, which is the version that the Wii runs on. And even just besides that, Wii kind of runs faster than N64 in other versions. So it's just fast and lets us do a good glitch. You might be asking how we're defeating Ganon so quickly. The crux of this category kind of revolves around a trick called Wrong Warp. And we'll get to that, exactly what we're doing later. But it lets us get from basically the beginning of the game to the end of the game super fast. And so we'll be doing that, and it should be cool. But for now, we can go over some objectives we have at the start here.
Yeah, so as we're about to get ready to head off and start the run, first thing Lake is gonna do as Link, he's gonna head off towards the Kokiri Sword Maze. He's gonna pick up a couple of rupees along the way as well, which we'll need for a shield later on. But otherwise, the general gist is just to get through the sword maze here as quickly as possible. There is a big boulder here that can do damage to us, which we want to avoid, but it's generally pretty easy to avoid as long as you don't mess up any significant movement tricks. And so Lake's just opening the chest now, and we'll get the Kokiri Sword.
Yeah, so the whole idea, especially now that Lake has the sword, is we want to go get the shield now, because those are the requirements so that we can talk to Mido and he can let us get past and go to Deku Tree. So all this movement here, we want to collect 40 rupees, and we want to do that as fast as possible. So when we see Lake go through this crawl space, he's going to enter this fenced area, which can be kind of tough to navigate, and he's going to do a technique called Rose Rock here. Where he targets that rock, does backflips and side hops in order to get some rupees, and now he's going to do something called Bridge Flip to get onto the bridge up here and get that blue rupee, and now he's going to get a blue rupee right here, and jump slash into the shop, go behind the shop, and get this blue rupee, and purchase the shield.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning as well that bridge clip is a one-frame trick as well, so it works because the underside of the bridge has no collision, so you're able just to kind of pop through it. Now we got sword and shield. We're gonna proceed to come up and chat to Mido. He's gonna kind of bully us for a bit, but it'll allow us to pass to go to the first dungeon, which is the Deku Tree. While we're going through this little corridor here, Leg's gonna pick up 2 sticks, which we're gonna use for a couple of different strats throughout the run. But one of the main strategies that is coming up in the next part is known as QPA, or Quick Put Away, and I'll explain a bit more about how that works in just a sec.
Now, one thing I tried to do there, but unfortunately failed. Not a big time loss, but it would help. If you jump slash into that cutscene, Link's animation tries to put him forward, but it can't because you're in the middle of an animation. And so you would get boosted inevitably really far back because it keeps trying to put you more and more forward. Unfortunately, I didn't get it. It's a small time save in the end.
Alright, sweet. So we're entering first dungeon here of entering Deku Tree. And so we're going to be performing some pretty massive glitches coming up here. So the first one Leg's going to perform is something called Quick Put Away, like I mentioned before. And the basic way it works is that you're interrupting the put away animation for an item with a damage source. In this case, it's the Baba. And so the game then registers Link having nothing in his hand, despite him actually still having the stick in his hand. So we can combine that with another trick called Broken Stick, where if you break a stick at a particular angle, or if you break the stick with a jump slash before you land, the stick just stays in Link's hand like half broken, and you continue to keep using it as if it's a normal sword. So when you try and combine the Quick Put Away with that broken stick, the game defaults to having nothing in Link's hand, but then is still attaching like a damage value to that jump slash. And then we can use another technique called power crouch stabbing, which a power crouch stab doesn't have a default damage value. It just uses the damage value from the last attack. And if we combine all these glitches, the default damage value for the Quick Put Away and Broken Stick thing ends up giving us a ton of different damage values. One of them happens to be a fire source. I think it's both Din's fire and the fire arrow, which allows us to burn the web without having to climb up all the vines and then jump back down and break the web that way. So that saves about 20 seconds. So what now Lake is trying to do is the second part of this trick, which is called GIM, or Get Item Manipulation. It's a pretty difficult trick to pull off. There's about, I think, 4 or 5 one-frame inputs here. And the general gist of it is Lake is basically trying to trick the game into thinking that Link is underwater. Because whenever Link tries to pick up an item while he's underwater, it doesn't write into his inventory immediately. So for those who've played this game casually and remember collecting Rudo's bottle from Lake Hylia, you'll notice that when you grab it, he has to resurface from water in order to actually collect it. So what we can do here is trick the game into thinking we're underwater when we're not. We can pick up a Deku Nut from that Deku Baba there, and it's now trying to write that Deku Baba into Link's inventory, but he hasn't resurfaced from water. So what we can do is that if we climb back up and stand in front of the chest up here, which contains the dungeon map, that also changes the A button prompt to open, which inherently changes the get item value for the Deku Nuts into something different. It gives it a negative value. And it just so happens to line up that when Link resurfaces from water, it gives him this glitch text box that says he has a compass, but he actually has a bottle with blue potion now inside of his inventory. So that skips having to go all the way out, all the way to Kakariko, collecting all the Kakos, and then doing the normal, just vanilla bottle strat to collect it there. So it saves a massive amount of time.
Yeah, really, really well said by Trip. And what Lake just did is he skipped the first basement area of Deku Tree by doing a jump called B1 skip. And yeah, it's pretty simple, although it can be pretty precise and very, very tricky if you're trying to do it quickly. And now, something that we also want to keep in mind is that Lake is at a heart and a half, and he wants to get down to half a heart so that the scrubs here pop up in a way in which we can get them very quickly. And of course the order is 2-3-1, which you know if you have played the game casually. And yeah, so basically, if you're at critical health, the scrubs act differently than if you're at anywhere above critical health. And so we want to be at critical health so that we can be efficient with the scrubs and use strategies that are very, very fast in order to go into Goma and do what we need to do with Goma as soon as possible.
Yeah, so for this Goma fight, Thunder mentioned we're at pretty low health here. It's because we actually want to die at the same time as we kill Goma. And that's because we want to exit the Deku Tree. And that just happens to be a pretty fast way to get out of here, is dying. And Goma dies pretty fast, so watch closely.
Yeah, you'll notice that Lake slashed with a stick into the cutscene, and that's so the Deku stick actually has the same damage value as the Master Sword when you jump slash, and so we can combine that with the power crouch stabbing technique from before to just waste Goma in what's basically just one cycle, because we can do lots of damage to her in a really quick amount of time. And so with the final hit, Lek then jump splashes with the regular Kokiri sword into Goma, which then both kills Goma and kills him, because he was on half a heart before the fight started. And we want to leave the Deku Tree now, because we need to go and collect some bugs in the bottle that we glitched before. And there's no bugs inside the Deku Tree. The closest place is the Lost Woods, so we'd have to make a little detour.
Yeah, so we need to go get bugged in order to do the wrong warp glitch, because there is a very much more simple glitch within wrong warp called Ocarina items, where we can play our sword, which is what we're gonna do. We can play a great deal of items, but mainly we're gonna play our sword in the blue warp in order to do some pretty interesting stuff, which Trip will go into a little bit more depth. As Lake is going to drink his blue potion here and collect the bugs, which we could also get in Kakariko if we were getting the bottle of the vanilla way, but since we did the get item manipulation, this is the nearest bug location.
You also noticed before, actually it's coming up if it pulls off. Lake's going to be doing a trick called Waterfall West. And I don't know if we've gone over ESS explanation.
Not really.
But I can quickly go through that. So ESS position in OOT is basically whenever you give like a very slight input to the control stick. So, and it gets to the point where Link sort of just shuffles in place and doesn't really move. But the good thing about ESS position is that by itself it doesn't have a default speed value. So we can do things like a waterfall bless or a water extended super slide. There are a couple of different variations of these super slides, but you're basically using the recoil speed value from whatever slide you're doing and applying it to that ESS position. So you can maintain that speed for long distances of time, and it's much faster than walking or rolling or side hopping.
Yeah, and we did that on the way to bugs, and wanted to do that a couple other times, but I failed, unfortunately. It's not a big deal, though.
Yeah, no big deal. And so yeah, we're coming up to what is now Wrong Warp. So Wrong Warp is kind of super complicated in a way. I'll try to explain my best in a sense that the game OOT has like a bunch of different rooms with different table values for like what rooms have cutscenes and stuff attached to them. So what we're gonna do here is that Lake is gonna use Ocarina items to interrupt the blue warp, taking him away. What this blue warp wants to do is put him back in front of the Deku Tree and play the Kokiri Emerald cutscene. But we're using that data essentially and applying it to a different room in the Deku Tree, in this case the Deku Tree basement. And so the game memory values kind of play out in a sense that it warps us straight to the tower collapse sequence post Ganondorf fight, and essentially skipping 90 to 95% of the game.
Yeah, so now we're at the end of the game.
Here we are.
Ganondorf's dead, Zelda's saved, but now the tower's collapsing, and we gotta get down. So
There's a
maybe-
lot of really interesting interactions between just in the minor cutscenes right here and when we go into the Ganon fight between Zelda and Link, because the game thinks that, well, basically Link is just supposed to be adult at this point, obviously. So the game is really trying hard to understand what's going on, and the cutscenes that come out of that are pretty funny.
So Lake's going to be attempting a trick here called Instaclip. So the tricky thing about Instaclip is that we need to get a Hess or a hyper-extended super slide off one of these falling rocks here. All of these rocks are completely random in terms of how big they are, where they spawn, and in like what direction they roll in. But if we roll into a rock with a correct position while holding ESS, we can use the recoil from a target and shield to get a really fast super slide backwards. And we can use that super slide going down this ramp here and pop through a little, basically, corner gap at in the guardrail at the end of the ramp. And do something called Void Warp. And what Void Warp is it's trying to, it's voiding you out at the same frame that you're trying to enter the next loading zone. So it applies the void out data from this tower collapse sequence, but applies it to the next room, which is inside of the tower. So then we end up spawning and
thing.
So close.
Lake almost got it there, but that trick is a bit janky sometimes. But yeah, the long and the short of it is.
Oh
Okay.
no.
That's fine. I can make do without it.
So Lake accidentally broke his stick there, which it's usually the fastest way of defeating Ganon, but we have another sword for a backup.
I could explain briefly kind of Ocarina items. So we saw Lake drink bugs there, which is pretty interesting in order to gain some health back. And basically, in order to do Ocarina items, so Link will, so if you have a bottle in Link's hand, if you do anything in the air, so you can do a backflip or a side hop, but backflips are better because you're in the air for longer, and you press the bottle with bugs in it, it's going to, the game wants to play the action, the cutscene, drop bugs, and when you replace that with something else like sword, or in the case of drinking the bugs, it's just an empty bottle. It's going to replace the action with that, and the empty bottle that has potion in it, and basically you end up doing that cutscene and gaining health back.
Yeah, it's interesting, just Ocarina items, just how it works. You can play multiple different items and use them for multiple different things. So you can play the stick, play the sword. If you try to play Deku Nuts, it will actually duplicate a bottle over your Deku Nuts. You can also play things like a bomb or a bomb tube. It's kind of funny because then you have this big explosive just right in your face while you're going doo-doo. Pretty funny. It's just simply because the Ocarina is just the default cutscene that the game uses, and it tries to apply a cutscene value to items that don't normally have cutscene values to them. And then you toot on them instead.
Yeah, so Void Warp is so tricky. I mean, just saying that you have to Hess off of a falling rock, even some people don't know what Hess means, but yeah, I mean, yeah, like Trip said before, these rocks are based on a random number generator, and also you need to roll into a specific part of the rock using a specific timing. So basically, when you see the shadow of the rock get bigger, that's when you want to roll, and if you don't do it really at the same time, then if you don't do it with that timing, then Link will kind of just shield and shuffle his feet a little bit. So this trick is super difficult. It takes some runners months to learn, and it's very common for runners to struggle at collapse. So it's just a trick that is super finicky, it's super precise, and yeah, can be a lot of trouble in collapse.
Yeah, these rocks, as I mentioned, are also with RNG, and these rocks in particular have been pretty garbage, not gonna lie. I've not been able to get a good chance at a Hess. Maybe like 1 or 2 that I failed. But most of these rocks have been unhessed. I'm also running out of time on the collapse timer. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and die. After this like that. And I think at this point, maybe it's just better to go down this tower just for time.
Tower is always fun. Stalfos might
Can I
be
get
a
a
little
rock?
difficult with the stick.
These yak rocks, man. But yeah, this is the make or break for lots of PB pace
Right.
runs. It's really 100% dependent on whether or not a rock is going to spawn and whether or not it's going to roll in your favor. It's going to be the right size.
And then
Everything.
Grace to click real quick. Swam up here.
And the rocks bounce too, so that
Yeah.
we can go right into you. And also, it's much more difficult after you die because the rocks will fall without lag, and so they'll fall much faster. So the timing that I was talking about earlier, you can pretty much throw that out the window and kind of on your own.
Yeah, so if you die here and you need to respawn, Ganondorf doesn't respawn in the second time like normally.
Wow.
Is there?
This is like
But
super
it,
unlucky.
Yeah, this is really unlucky. But yeah, G-Man usually is dead there, and he's the one who's causing all of the lag to be either in the first instance. When the second time you try to do insta-clip, he despawns, and then yeah, it frees up all of the lag, which makes all the timing really, really difficult. Not to mention the Hess that Lake is trying to do is also frame perfect, so you have a 0.05 second window to land what you need to land.
Ooh, this looks okay. This could work.
Yeah,
There it is.
there you go.
Insta-clip. Woo!
We got it.
That's
What's up, Blake?
instant. So yeah, now as you can see, the game is now loaded the next part of the tower sequence while trying to spawn you back at the top of the tower. And so now, because you're basically outside of the loading zones, you can fall all the way down to the bottom and skip what's essentially 3 minutes worth of going down the tower and fighting a bunch of different enemies.
Gonna do really bad movement here. Save.
Yeah. It's also worth mentioning that you have to have at least 2.5 hearts for the whole sequence to work. So if you're on half a heart and you get hit by one of these rocks here, you'll die and have to do the whole thing over again. So it's best just to be safe and not risk it.
Alright, so I broke my stick earlier, which is pretty bad. We can make do without it. It'll just be pretty awkward. We normally use a trick called Infinite Sword Glitch, which makes our sword swing infinitely every single frame. And I'm not sure if I should still use that, or if I should just jump slash. But
I would go for the jump slashes.
yeah, I should probably just jump slash. Phase 1 Ganon's kind of slow, so I can probably just jump slash. It'll take a lot of hits, but we can do it. One thing about Ganon fight is that in the first phase, all of your items and damage things are all set to a damage value of 1, regardless of what they usually are. And the only things that isn't the case for are the Master Sword, which you aren't supposed to have in Phase 1, and a Deku Stick, because the Deku Stick's Jump Slash is the same damage value as the Master Sword. Not just the same damage value. It's literally the same thing in the code. Which is really, really funny. And that lets us do the first phase pretty fast. Unfortunately, I don't have the stick. So I'm gonna have to do 10 jump slashes onto his tail. Which is fine. Phase 1 Ganon's pretty slow, and I do that all the time as an adult. So here we go.
And well, even though you're not supposed to ask the Ocarina sword, and you can get his sword
Maybe I
smacked
should
away
crouch
by
down.
Ganon.
I actually
can,
jump slashed with Master Sword into this cutscene, so maybe I should do an IHG. I can probably backflip and hit him. We'll see.
Go for it.
Okay, so I did jump slash with the Master Sword, which we got because of jank during collapse. That's not worth going into. So we'll see what happens. This is an impromptu Ganon fight. Definitely not one I've done very often in my life.
Keeping you on your toes, you're like.
Didn't want to make it too easy for you.
But I think Thunder was mentioning that I can actually re-equip my Kokiri sword after this gets knocked away. So I'll have something to battle Ganon. That's fun.
Normally with this Ganon fight, the Master Sword does the most amount of damage. I don't know if we went that way. It doesn't matter. But it does the most damage.
Oh no!
To Ganon.
Really? I got clipped on the right there? I got clipped by his leg onto the right side of him, and his sword hit me. That was... something.
That was a twat.
That's insane. This run has been all sorts of unlucky. There's a lot of firsts for me, not gonna lie. I've done 1,500 runs in this category, and not once has any of this happened.
Classic marathon luck.
Okay, so for the personal marathon, actually I think it's probably better to do this. Just for time reasons, I don't want to hold it up too long. I'm gonna hop over to the practice run of this game just to finish the run out and show you what the Ganon fight really looks like.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to put the Ganon fight on display. A lot of people say that, like, I don't know, a lot of people think that the Ganon fight is underwhelming because it's relatively easy. It is actually one of the easier parts. Definitely when you're on pace and your hands are shaking, it's not easy. But I really love this sequence of the speedrun, and you guys are going to see why it's so cool. Just kind of destroying Ganon with the Deku Stick and doing nice movement. And it's just a really, really nice sequence. So here we go.
We're gonna get ISG with a stick here, and we're just gonna run in between his legs. Like I said, the sword's swinging infinitely every single frame, and this lets us take down Ganon very fast in the first phase. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, so it takes about, was it 3 or 4 hits with the Master Sword?
Yeah, 3 hits on the first phase, and it's gonna take 5 hits on the second phase.
Every other damage source does 1 damage to Ganon. From Deku Nuts to Garon Sword to Hookshot, everything else does 1 damage. That's why we want to try and keep the Master Sword damage stored as long as we can.
And obviously the tail is the weak point.
Alright, and important note, when Ganon knocked that Master Sword away and we just picked it up, that's actually a very important part of this run. We would not be able to finish the game if we did not pick up that Master Sword, because the Master Sword is required to do this final hit here.
Coming up to time.
And time.
You like...
GG's.
So that was defeat Ganon, kind of. Definitely didn't cheat. Yeah, that was... I've done a lot in the resets of this category, and none of them have been quite like that. That was all kinds of unfortunate and unlucky.
Yeah, that's the nature of this category. It can treat you in some wild, wild ways. Just specifically with just RNG alone, it's nutty.
Absolutely. Alrighty, well, thank you so much for running it and showing it off here at the marathon. I know that it didn't quite go. It's not a yes. I know that it didn't quite pan out cleanly like we wanted it to, but you got to show off all the tricks, at least for real.
That's how it be.
That's just how it be sometimes. All right. Well, thank you very much, Blake. We're going to toss it to a commercial, and then we have one more run for you tonight, or one more runner, I should say. They might even do 2 runs if you guys donate towards it. Don't forget to donate. Anyways, let's go ahead and let's swap back, and we'll be right back